Just imagine for a second, if you will. There's a bloke. He's a bit of a hard day, mate. He's had an absolute shocker of a day. He's just had stress upon stress. Work. Everything's gone wrong, mate. He's been bashed. He's been robbed. His car has been stolen. He's lost his house. The mortgage hasn't been paid. He's lost his house. And he's sitting out the backyard, mate, and he's having one of these ones. Alright? Having one of these ones. Sitting around a fire. He's watching the fire, and he's having a few too many, mate. He's having an absolute staggering amount of beer sitting out there. He's just sort of drowning his sorrows, mate. Now, as he's sitting there having that beer, sitting around the fire, he notices there's a snake right now. He's a kindly bastard. He's got a heart, mate. He's just a bit downtrodden. He's a kindly bastard. He sees a snake that's about to eat a frog. And he's like, fuck, you know what, on my watch is not going to happen. So he goes over to save the frog. Now, as he does, on his way to save the frog, he trips, see? He trips and stumbles, mate. And as he stumbles, he falls towards the fire. And his hand lands directly there onto that piece of wood. He quickly pulls back his hand, wincing because he believes there could be pain. But as he sits there, he takes a glance at his hand in the amber light that the fire affords, and notices there's not even a mark on his hand. He's been untouched. You think, this can't be right, so he goes over and grabs that stick and he holds it up against his left hand, and he hears it sizzle. Psst. And he looks down, and there's not a mark on his hand. And he thinks to himself, oh, I don't know what's happening here. I think I'm too drunk. I'm off me chops. I'm going to bed. As he goes to bed, settles in for the night. Next day he gets up and he goes about his business, right? And he's walking down the street on his lunch break. He looks dishevelled, mate. He looks dishevelled. He looks worn. He's on his lunch break. As he's on his lunch break, mate, there's a bit of commotion coming down the street, and he can hear that there's a car out of control. Oh, excuse me. Car's out of control. The car's heading straight towards him, mate. It hits the medium strip in the middle of the road and just fucking launches skywards, right? He can see that it's about to hit that old lady that's walking there. So he runs over, mate. He puts his hand on the old lady to push her out of the way, and he holds the other hand skyward, and out of his hand comes a fire shield that immediately stops the car in its tracks. The fire shield starts to melt the car as it falls to the ground, and the whole onlookers just gasp. They can't believe what they've just seen. Old mate can't believe it either. He has no idea. He doesn't realise that he has just become a superhero. This story will be told in the form of a camera at the start of the film panning through city life, panning through the streets, up over the high rises, and scooting down through the city streets, panning its way out of the city, out into the wilderness, pumping up through rivers and skyward bound until it signals down on the one spot there in the bush, a pine forest in the bush, mate, with a bit of a slight glow that's coming from there in the middle of the night. The camera pans down quickly and sees a couple of blokes sitting there. Now, you don't realise those blokes are your heroes from this film. Yeah, it's hot, Bubba, hot. Shh, shh. Now, the camera pans down on two blokes sitting there. And the main bloke, the narrator, you don't know it, because it's not revealed until the end of the movie that this guy is the actual hero, the fireman. I don't even know his name. I can't get a name. Now, as he's telling the story, he looks gruff, he looks rough, he looks homeless. He looks like a hobo. He's got a big trench coat on, he's got a big old scruffy beard, long hair. He just looks like he doesn't belong somewhere. You know in the Rambo scene from the First Blood where he walks into town and he just doesn't look like he belongs? That's what I'm talking about. And he's sitting there telling this particular yarn, this exact yarn, to the bloke that he's with. A couple of travelling companions. They're sharing a few of these. Sharing a few of these amber fluids. And they're just telling this yarn. Now, the yarn. So he's back in the city now, and he's starting to. Now we're back in the city with this bloke, right? He's just discovered that he's got these powers, so he's sitting home perfecting these things. He sits around, he gets a cold mug of water in his hand, the tea bag, in that water, bit of mind concentration, and the water begins to steam up in that cup. He's boiling that with pure willpower. Right. He's off the next day. He's gone around, he's done a few experiments. He's lighting up bongs with his finger, candles, whatever. He's doing all this, right? Kind of like Spider-Man, but with fire. Now, he's at the next day at the office, mate. He's had a shitty morning. He's about to get demoted. He's losing pay. This poor bloke, mate, you're just not onto him. You're not onto him. You're not feeling him. You're absolutely on his side. You're thinking, poor mongrel. Now, this old mate, right, he's had a terrible morning. He's in the pisser, mate. He's having a piss at the trough. Bloke comes in, stands next to him, has a piss. Turns and says, "Barry, is that you?" Or whatever his name is. As he turns, he pisses on this bloke's foot. Well, mate, that's just the straw that broke the camel's back, mate. He's on a goddamn no. He walks over to the basin, the kitchen basin, the fucking bathroom vanity, slams his hand in. God damn it, Trevor. As he slams his hand down, he leaves in a blackened mark where his hand was. Trevor sees this. Word starts to spread, see? So everybody starts to hum on this bloke. You remember Phenomenon? The movie Phenomenon with John Travolta? He had that special power. And people just humming him and humming him and humming him. And it just got a little bit out of control. He couldn't take it towards the end of the movie. Well, it's like this. Old mate's just hummed and hummed and hummed by everybody. So our hero then twists. Takes a twist. Takes a dive. Becomes evil, mate. Starts using his powers for evil. Gets distaste for the audience, mate. The audience, you're not on his side. You want to see this bloke get taken down. You want to see this bloke get taken down. At the getting towards the end of the movie there, you've got a big fight come on. Things are happening. And he's given the ultimate choice. The good versus evil. He's given the ultimate choice. The good versus evil. Well, he's given a choice. He has to make that choice, right? Now, this choice is going to determine whether or not the audience is back on his side. And lo and behold, he picks the good, mate. He picks that. Becomes a hero once more. People are onto him, mate. You're cheering his name as you're walking. Becomes a hero, but can't take the fame. So he packs it up, mate. He leaves. He goes bush. And that's where we find our hero now. Sitting. But it doesn't become known to you until later on that the narrator of this film, the bloke telling the narrative of this movie, is your hero that's sitting there, the clean-shaven guy from the office, hitting his hand, the fire guy, who's always been clean-shaven, prim and proper, white-collar dude, is now sitting there looking like a hobo, and he's sitting there with a mate. Look like a couple of well-travelled blokes. They're sitting around. There's a few old empty beer cans laying around. There's a couple of swags on the ground, some dirty old plates and whatnot, right? Now, but you don't know this bloke is your hero until the very ending scenes of this movie, where old mate says, "All right, we've got to go. Time to move on. We've got to keep moving." So the bloke gets up and packs the swag up. He gets up, packs his swag up, mate. They're just about to leave in the darkness, where your narrator, this homeless bloke, walks over, just says, "I'll just take this here," and grabs it, stick out of the fire and walks on. And that's when you fucking realise that the hero from your movie is this homeless bloke. They're off, they're walking out, mate. It's a moonlit night, they're walking through. There's a bit of mist hanging around in the forest, see? So the mist is rolling in, it's dark, it's moonlit. You can see these boys walking the track. And all of a sudden, you hear the howling and the running of wolves. And the bloke that's walking with him has a sharp look to the left, mate. And you see, from the wolf's point of view, the camera rides with the wolves, mate. They're running, mate. There's a pack of wolves led by this gigantic fucking big black wolf, mate. They're running down. They're fucking gnarling at each other, mate. They're having a go at each other. They're running down. And just as they're about to attack, old mate, his companion, fucking just arcs up, bud. You see his eyes, you feel a bit of a rumble in the air. Old mate's eyes just turn this crystal fucking blue. Crystal fucking blue. The nicest blue you've ever seen. And fucking beams of blue come out of his eyes, mate. And he sets a beams of fucking ice. He has an ability to shoot ice or something. Comes out. And you hear the wolves going from the fucking aggressive. You hear that to the fucking whimpering. And they calm way fuck down, mate. They calm right down. And the big black wolf comes over to the side, the old mate there with the icy eyes, Iceman, fucking comes over, licks his hand, he accepts defeat, and fucking has a pat, and the wolves run off, and they're all barking at each other again like a pack of hyenas. Little did you know, the bloke that he's travelling with, who you thought was just a friend, is also a superhero. I don't know his name. I'm going with Iceman. Iceman and the Fire Dude. This bloke is Iceman, mate. And together they've had enough. They've had enough of the responsibilities. They've had enough of the bullshit that goes to being a hero. So they're out living the hobo life. And just as this, cheers to this story. Just as this, just about comes to an end. The camera from afar has that sort of, that music is just saying like dun dun dun, like you've just figured out something. The camera pans at 1,000 miles an hour and goes straight into this guy's eye. Shoots down into his face, right into his eye. CGI coming at you, into his eye, and you see a small, flickering, cold blue flame. Pans out to darkness, credits roll. Tell me that would not be one of the fucking greatest movies of all time. I would fucking watch that. That'd be such a good superhero movie. It's just an idea, but look, somebody fucking call Hollywood. Think about that. Later.